Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Hybrid DevOps Pros. I'm Ariel. With me is Liaz.
Hello, Ariel.
Hi, Liaz. Today, we have a big update for you. We're going to talk about new Symphony version 5.1.1. We've got a lot of good stuff in it.
Yeah, it's a major version.
It's a huge release for us. So let's get started. So we've updated our AWS APIs on a few services in the platform. So on the CloudWatch metrics.
Right, so let's look at the UI. And just like ever, whatever you see in the UI, we have APIs, and most of the time we have AWS APIs for CloudWatch. The first thing that we're going to do is create alarms. So in this specific case, we managed to get specific conditions for both instances. So I have here all my instance list. So I want to get alarm for a specific instance, specific statistics, and metric. Now, if I go...
So we have alarms that are for metric crossing.
It's a condition, so it can cross up, it can cross down. Like fantastic. For example, you can have, I want to know when my instance is less than average, so I want to get another one up and running, or maybe kill another one. So not only we have alarms, after I'm setting an alarm, I can set a topic. A topic is...
So that's actually another big thing that we've introduced in Symphony. We have actually introduced a new service of notifications that is AWS SNS compatible.
So if I set a topic, that means I want to notify specific people in the organizations, maybe other organizations. So I just set their emails, and they will get notified whenever I'm triggering the alarm that is connected to that topic.
Okay, fantastic. So email-based notifications based on CloudWatch alarms. That's great.
Yeah, and next thing is the database.
Absolutely. So our RDS service has received a large set of new functions. So remote replication is a big one.
It is. So far, we had the capability of creating a database instance. So that's our own standalone, and we could replicate it locally. That's fine. So let's go ahead and start a database, but there's a surprise.
Replica.
Yeah, so let's go as DB. I'll get everything just default, because it's just the test. That's for network. Let's not set backup, although we can set an automatic backup, which is very important when it comes to databases. And when I'm setting credentials, we used to have only standalone. That's our own credentials. But in this case, it's a remote replica.
I see.
So as you can see, we have the master host name. Basically, it's the IP or the host name that you would like to connect to, a port, and so on. Now, the most important thing is that the master host name doesn't have to be on Symphony. It doesn't have to be on AWS as well. It can be anywhere that I can access.
So we could actually have a remote replica of an RDS instance running on AWS to Symphony, or we could have a remote replica of a database running on Azure or GCP.
Or whatever your enterprise supports, we can connect to it as long as the database supports replication.
That's fantastic.
So that's a major thing. Also, when it comes to databases, we have now adding extensions to Postgres. You can decide in the instance whether if you are to reboot a database, you don't have to reboot the whole instance. You can just restart services. For some databases, it's very important. And we also added the support in Terraform, and I'm sure we're going to have an example soon, that you can decide where exactly do I want to start my database.
I see.
In case you have several pools.
So when we have multiple storage backends, we can use the storage type attribute and feed that into the RDS APIs and map our database into the different storage backends.
Yeah. So that's it for the database service. Let's go for another very important service, which is
those big updates.
Yeah, that's a big update. Oh, there's a lot more coming, don't worry. So let's go to load balancers.
Tell me about load balancers.
Okay, so I'm gonna show it here. Let's focus on the WordPress. Now, in the WordPress, we have, for that application, we have a load balancer. And as you can see here, it's a highly available load balancer. So far, we had a single instance of load balancer. Now it is highly available.
Nice. So now a load balancer that is protecting a set of instances became a single point of failure. And when we have the ability to have high availability load balancers, that disappears, and we are able to protect that deployment. That's a huge improvement.
Yes.
Great.
So for Kubernetes service, we added a very important feature that will allow you to run ELK. That's actually the map count, the max map count. Very easy to run ELK. And we also improved all the security features that the Central Internet Security recommends.
And I understand we can now manage dynamically the container registry.
Yes, also. That's another service that we support. Now, when it comes to virtual machines, we added, according to our customer requests, some European support for keyboards.
We had a lot of requests for Alt-GR type of keyboards from our European customers. Well,
so now we
it's available.
We support that. We managed to significantly improve our scalability, significantly improve the performance.
The emphasis we have been putting on Stratoscale Symphony for the last few releases has been on reliability at scale and the ability to manage a high degree of parallelism. When we are doing large-scale deployments using tools like Terraform, then multiple instances get spawned simultaneously, and we've been slowly adding more and more capabilities, and in version 5, I think we're going to see a record ability to support a high degree of parallelism on all EC2 type DevOps operations.
Absolutely. When you run Terraform runs by default 10 commands in parallel, and each command can spawn 50 virtual machines. It's very important to support
it's a huge improvement, especially, by the way, when you're comparing it to some legacy environments like VMware.
Yeah, well, you can try to do that there.
Indeed. Okay. But I mean, talking about scale, there's a big improvement in scalability on the AD.
Well, when you connect to ADs, when you connect to enterprise ADs, they can be huge, right? You want to get all the users list and so on. If you go user list and you don't paginate, you'll get maybe 1,000, 2,000, 10,000 user. That doesn't scale. So we added the pagination feature, so no more obstacles in the.
So again, when we're working with large-scale enterprises, tens of thousands of users are now supported on Stratoscale Symphony. Now, talking about enterprises, we did a lot of work on security recently, including managing password policies to make them more secure, but also a lot of hardening in the core Linux kernel that we're using. In release 5 of Symphony, we've introduced SE Linux, as well as a brand new CentOS release 7.5, allowing us to significantly improve reliability and security for our environment. Now, talking about the kernel gets me to think about other, let's call them foundational technologies. We made a huge change on our storage platform. Why don't you tell us about that? Yes.
Okay, so if you look at the UI, you don't see anything, right? Because the functionality didn't change, nothing changed in terms of
it all looks
deployment.
The same, right?
It all looks the same. Under the hood, we changed the storage or the backend storage. Right now, we support 3 replications. HDDs are supported. SSD actually gained performance, and also when you architect the storage, you get a little bit more flexibility, and we're getting more performance from a storage, more stability. That's
so
what it's more
when release 5 came out, we've actually introduced a brand new storage engine using Ceph that allows us to implement both hyper-converged and converged storage pools using this great technology, and allowing us, again, with no impact to the customer experience, have support for an additional storage engine. That's fantastic. On the network side, I think we also did a lot of improvements and additions.
One very exciting feature, and when I say exciting, that's because I talked to many customers and they were asking, where is it? It's an important feature in AWS APIs, and that's the VPC peering.
I see.
So you have an application, you run it in a VPC. This is not your only application, right? You have many applications in the enterprise and you want to access each and every one of them in between, okay? Because most of them serve as each other's backend. How do you do that? Easy. VPC peering. VPC peering means I have a VPC. Let's see that in action, actually. I have it right here. So I have our Bastion VPC. That's basically a Bastion. I want to access this peering VPC. So up until now, if I wanted to do that, I had to go externally to the Bastion, to maybe an Elastic IP and so on, and then back to the peering VPC using an Elastic IP. That's actually a waste of resources. So right now you can easily go to Bastion VPC. Okay, I'll go to VPC. In a click of a button, I can create a peering menu, and the peer will say what's the name of the peering and then where do you want to go. This is it. So I chose, in this specific case, I already chose Bastion to peering. The next thing you need to do, and we support all of this, both in Terraform, AWS APIs, Symphony APIs if you want to use that. You go to the route table, and in the Bastion VPC, I'm saying if you want to go to the peering subnet, go to the Bastion to peering VPC peering, and that's it. You're connected.
So the VPC paradigm is the best paradigm for isolating an application within its own software-defined network environment, right? Everything is managed using infrastructure as code, so our applications are secure and isolated. Now, when we have multiple applications running in isolated network environments, we need to connect them, and VPC peering is the easy button. For that, it's fully automated and orchestrated using the best infrastructure as code tools.
Doesn't have to be a button. Terraform, buttons in the UI, everything works. Another very important feature when you run applications in VPC, that's actually the DNS. So if I go to my VPC again, let's go to Bastion VPC. And in the Bastion VPC, I have DNS records. So now I can set my own DNS records for an instance. Very important for service discovery when you're running VPC.
So we've introduced DNS capability into the virtual network layer. That's fantastic.
Right. So this feature has a few limitations. Everything appears in the release notes. Very easy to use and very useful.
Fantastic. In addition to that, we've added tools for the platform administrators to manage the scale-out nature of the networking environment and support larger and larger deployments as a consequence. That's a big set of improvements and capabilities that were introduced to Symphony. Amazing capability.
It is.
Liaz, where can people go to learn more about what we're doing?
First, we have this amazing YouTube channel. So I encourage you, subscribe to the channel. We have new videos almost every week with how-tos and news about the cloud, public cloud, and our own hybrid cloud. And it's very useful to learn and to get updated. And also, we'll remind again, we have a public repository with very well documented examples. You download the repository, it's completely public.
Look for Stratoscale at GitHub. You'll find a lot of cool examples there. Fantastic. So Symphony 5 is the latest and greatest release with significant improvements under the hood, Linux security, storage, networking functions, new services like SNS and notifications, so mapped to CloudWatch alarms, more database functions for replication and for extension. This is a really cool release.
Huge release.
Fantastic. Thanks, Liaz.
Thank you, Ariel.
Bye-bye.